Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the WCS Coaches Preview Show. I'm your host, Jeremy Qualls, and with us today is the head coach of the Lady Rebels, Kari Goodwin, and the head coach of the Independence Lady Eagles, Beth White. Thank you so much for joining us today again.
Thank you.
You're no longer a rookie. Now this is your second show, and I believe this is your second show as well. Thank you so much for coming. We're gonna talk about your matchup coming up tonight at Indy. I know it's a big game here, final game of the year, district-wise, getting yourselves prepped for the district tournament upcoming. Before we get started, though, let's talk real quick about the future of your programs. Let's talk about your JV and freshman teams. We'll start with the visiting team. Coach Goodwin?
We have a nice freshman class that has come into Franklin. We've got a solid 13 right now, and 6 of which are playing varsity. So we're excited about them. I've got 4 coming off the bench playing varsity minutes. So that's always exciting. I got a freshman starting in the lineup for varsity. So the future for Franklin girls basketball is really bright. Most of them came from Grassland Middle School, and the season before they came to us, they were undefeated. So we know that they have potential and that they have a great work ethic, so I'm excited to see where it goes.
And right now, who's coaching your JV team?
Jana Tinker and Lindsay Consiglio.
Okay. Coach White?
Mm-hmm. We didn't have a whole lot of freshmen this year, but we do have one. Caitlin Hearn, freshman, came from Heritage, and she started some varsity games as point guard and getting to play a lot of minutes, and I'm really excited about her as she develops. And we also have, actually right now at Heritage, there's a pretty good, strong 8th grade class. We've got a lot of upcoming freshmen coming in. And then we've played, 3 or 4 different sophomores have rotated starting and playing a lot of varsity minutes this year as well. So we're young, and, summer's going to be key as developing and just, honing in and developing some new skills.
So let's talk about how you run your programs when they come in. Do we like to have a strictly freshman schedule with your freshman team? Do we have a strictly JV schedule? Do those ever cross over? Do you try to bump your freshmen up to play JV to get them more time? How does that go about?
For us, I like to keep my girls all together. I like them to be in our practices. I don't necessarily want them to have a separate practice and not hear my instruction and start to kind of get familiar with, things that we need for varsity is going to be the same things that we're going to essentially need for them one day. They hear my language, the way that I, teach certain aspects. So, as far as keeping a freshman schedule separate, I don't necessarily like to do that. JV and varsity are normally all together all the time.
Coach White?
Right now for us, it's a numbers game. Mm-hmm. Just don't have the numbers to play 3 separate programs.
Sure.
I mean, would love to someday. I'm with Kari, though. I like to have them all practice together. I'd like to see us get some numbers where we can play a freshman season, a JV season, and a varsity season. That's not to say that we wouldn't have some players play freshman and JV or freshman JV varsity, because the more you're on the floor, the better you're going to get. But I'm with her. I kind of think keeping them all together is an advantage because it's also the level of intensity and the type of intensity as head coaches that we bring to practice, our expectations.
Well, keeping that consistency, especially of terminology, usually on that level when they come in, defense, the man-to-man defense is usually one of the first things that you really, really have to work on. Shell drill, constantly. And the terminology, and not only the offensive things, the individual skill work when they first come in is probably the first hurdle. Am I right on that?
Oh, absolutely.
So let's talk real quick the importance of the middle school programs, of how you interact with the middle school programs and trying to keep that consistency going as they come to you.
Coach Hill at Grassland, she does a phenomenal job. She actually started incorporating our half-court press. That was extremely successful for her last year, and so her and I had many discussions about rotation, and those girls are so grounded in that defense that it was such a huge advantage for us to not have to spend so much time on it. But defensively, man-to-man I teach it a little bit different, and they played a lot of zone in middle school, and of course that's always a tough hurdle. We teach a open chest and eye, and sometimes it's really hard for middle school girls to transpire into the season. So.
Well, it is. One, you have to understand, but two, you have to have the athletic ability.
Right.
And when you make that jump from middle school to high school, that's probably the largest jump you'll make. Even
Right.
I think it's bigger of a jump from high school to college because you're coming in as a 14-year-old, 15-year-old, going against 17, 18-year-olds that are faster, stronger. You're trying to make that denial, and it's just it's a fast game at this level. Let's talk about the offensive side. You like to run the swing offense, so your terminology is going to be completely different probably at the high school level versus the middle school level. So talk about that.
I think sometimes, I agree, a lot in middle school defensively is a ton of zone, and it's not the aggressive zone that you need at the next level.
We used to call it the potted plant.
Or a robotic zone kind of.
Yeah.
Just,
This is my spot. I've got this area.
But offensively, you kind of see the same thing. And that's something, especially with the freshmen, trying to get them ready for varsity. They're so, okay, well, you said to run this play, but this isn't open. You've got a straight line to the basket. Go, but you said to run this play. So they're still kind of that robotic, we've got to throw here, we've got to go here. So it's just kind of learning to play the game and reading. I think reading the defense and reacting to it.
hard.
That's such a big difference coming from middle school to high school. Option one is this.
Yes.
If that does not open, option two is this. If that's not option three, and they're like, hang on. You mean
Well-
they're not going to be open?
Well, and usually
Right.
it's option one, and if option one's not there, reset, go back to option one again.
Right.
So, yeah, and you said something about just the speed. I think the speed of the game, from the
completely
middle
different.
school to the even JV level, the speed is just so much
In a
different.
short amount of time, let's be honest, we've got less than 6 months to get them up to speed on the IQ level, not the athletic part, to get them ready to even function at that level. So, not to pull off any scabs from Tuesday night, both of you are coming in off losses, and I appreciate you being such fine, gracious people to come in and talk about this. But Coach White, we've talked about it all year long. We've talked about it with you last time on the show, and I think you also, Coach Goodwin, have weighed in the fact that Dixon's probably the team to beat in the district. You played Dixon, coming in on a 70-44 loss. Let's talk real quick about that game. They bring so much to the table. I know it's tough to defend and do things that you want to do.
It's just a tough matchup. For us anyway, it's one of the toughest matchups. Just they've got good big post player that gets big, gets wide, and you try to double down on her, and then they've got 4 shooters that shoot the lights out on the perimeter, and so
What do you do, right?
Yeah, right. What are you doing? And then their half court defense is just so aggressive and so strong. They really keep you out of your element, and they're physical. We kind of rolled over and kind of let them push us around first half Tuesday night, and then after a little prayer meeting during halftime, we came out and played a lot more physical in the second half. It's like,
Right.
if you're going to get punched in the face, punch back.
That's right.
And we were kind of just turning the cheek, and so we had to. But,
That's right.
the second half, I thought, for us against, such a great Coach Hamilton's just got them clicking, that we played a better second.
Coach Goodwin, you coming in, you won a few games here coming down the stretch, you run into Ravenwood. We have 3 teams in the sports conference right now with 20-plus wins, and the third sitting at 18-6. That's pretty crazy. And then the remaining group are hovering around just a little bit below 500, maybe 500 in the conference, beating up on ourselves, because it's just difficult to separate. But you came in, you played against Ravenwood right now, and, Ravenwood Tuesday, 48-39 loss. Girls played hard, battled. Ravenwood right now just kind of run into a little bit of a juggernaut, if you will. They're playing pretty good basketball.
They are. I can't say enough about Coach Harris and what she's able to do with the talent that she has. I will say though, we should have been better. We played very lax defensively, where I thought that that was going to be very key for us to be successful, and in areas where we made sure that we pointed out before the game started. They became weak areas for us. Rebounding, they out-rebounded us 16-33. We shot 8 of 29 in the paint, 28% from the field. So, I'm not a numbers person, but that's not very good.
You always try to drill on 3 things: out-rebound the opponent, 15 or less turnovers, first one to 40.
Yep. So,
If you get 2 of those 3, usually you're going to win.
and, you know, the crazy part is we had so many opportunities to take away that game. I mean, we had momentum, and we just couldn't finish, you know, wide open layups and free throws, and yeah.
Well, despite the losses, let's get past the losses. Let's talk about right now. I feel confident. Game's on the line. I've got 2, 3 players, 1 player, whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
This person is playing extremely well for our, or these particular people are playing really good for our team right now. Coach White?
I want the ball probably in my guard, Gabby Wiggins. She's junior guard who's just stepped up this year. And obviously, I mean, honestly, has surpassed my wildest expectations by her and just been so competitive. So I'm probably going to put the ball in her hands.
Okay.
I mean, honestly, that's a loaded question for me because if it depends on what we need.
Well, obviously the scenario. I
know,
get that. But just who's playing well.
Jody Hill is very consistent for us, and she is going to be a very stable presence. So she's a calming force on the floor. I would definitely want it in her hands. But I'll be honest with you, she needs to shoot the ball more, and we need to have opportunities for her to get the ball more.
I never had a coach tell me that. I wished I would
Yeah.
have. I don't think I had that problem. But
we need to do it.
yeah, and that sometimes can be at this level. It's hard for maturity purposes of having the confidence going. You miss a couple shots, you know, the only way to get through is continue shooting and doing those things. So we're coming down the home stretch. Last game of the district between you 2 guys. Let's talk about possible matchups in the district tournament. Coach White, I know we discussed off the air there are several scenarios, so let's discuss those scenarios real quick.
Well, there's just
Let's
we've got 3. We got 3 options. We're going to have 3 options. We're going to probably match up with either Dixon County, Brentwood, or Ravenwood.
And that's regardless of winning tonight or losing tonight.
Regardless of winning or losing, because there's a tie at the top, there's a tie at the bottom. Anything can happen. If this one wins, this one loses, this one goes here, that one goes there.
You know, Ravenwood could play a spoiler tonight, big time. You know, if they go in and beat Dixon.
Well, if that happens, Dixon slides into the 2 spot, but then us, Centennial and us, we're tied still right now.
Right.
Unless, you know, we can hit one more 3 than their 38 that they're going to hit.
Be the first one to 40. First one to 40, 15 or less turnovers. All right, and you have an intriguing matchup, probably the way it's locked in.
Yeah.
This is going to be very nice for the Goodwin household. Unfortunately, we're probably looking at the Battle of the Goodwins Part 3 in the first round of the district. The unfortunate part of that is loser goes home. And that's not too far from where
Loser's
you'll
not going home.
No, loser won't be at home.
Loser and winner will go home together. It's just according to who's going to be sleeping on the couch versus, So, you know, I know that play's difficult. I know you want to win at the end of the day, and you and Josh are so competitive, and y'all would beat each other at checkers.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you hate for this scenario. But you still have to get yourself prepared to play this game.
Yeah, and, you know, I think Josh and I are such a realization with each other that, you know, when it comes down to it, you can prepare the girls as much as you can, but it really is up to them. So it is going to be up to, you know, who shows up, who executes, and who makes stops. You know, we were cutting up Tuesday night after both of our games, and, you know, he was just saying that I hate this situation, but I still want to beat you. And I looked at him and I said, well, I hate this situation. I'm going to beat you.
There
And
you go.
so,
There- see,
you know,
like I
it's
said.
already started, you know.
Well, real quick before we go into break, if whoever loses,
Right.
I'm assuming we probably will help the other get prepared, scouting reports or not.
Better. I would help him if that situation occurred.
Okay. Interesting thoughts. Thank you so much from both of y'all for being such good sports. I appreciate you both, your programs. I look forward to seeing how things develop, and especially best of luck to both of you in the tournament, and best of luck
Thank
for
you.
you tonight. When we come back, we'll be on the boys' side of tonight's game between Independence and Franklin High School. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
What should I make my password? Oh, I know. I'll make my password password. Passwords should be unique, private, non-personal, and secure. Use more than one word, use different character classes, use symbols and numbers, and use multiple passwords for different sites. And always remember never to share your passwords.
Welcome back to this edition of WCS Coaches Preview Show. We're now on the second half of the show with the guys' side of things tonight between the matchup between Independence Eagles and the Franklin Rebels. Right now, the Indy Eagles are sitting in third place, 14-11, 6-5, with Coach Greg Glass, and the Franklin Rebels sitting in second place right now, 15-11, 7-4. Coach Wilson, thank you guys for joining us. Tuesday night, Coach Wilson, huge win over Ravenwood.
Big win. Big win. I thought the guys came out with a lot of heart, a lot of focus, man. We had great energy thanks to the FHS Rebellion. They came out in groves, had a great student body, student section for senior night and coming home. And, man, the energy in that place was electric.
Excellent. Independence coming off another big win, 55-34 over Dixon. I know, Coach Glass, Independence could be arguably playing the best basketball in the sports conference right now.
Well, we are starting to peak right now, and believe it or not, we still have not played our best basketball yet. But I do like the direction that we're heading. Made a couple of lineup changes a couple of weeks ago with Pierre Watkins in the starting lineup, and he's been huge for us every night since then.
For our viewers, Pierre was your sixth man for a while there. He's a guard coming off the bench. Am I correct on that?
That is correct. That is correct.
And he's now in the starting lineup playing. Do you have him playing the one right now, or playing the two?
He and Grayson kind of mix
Right.
it up, one and the two, and it gives us an extra ball handler and relieves Grayson of a lot of ball handling duties as well.
Okay, before we get started, we asked the girls' side. Let's talk real quick about your JV freshman programs. What do we have in store right now? Franklin right now is putting a beat down on folks in JV. Future looks bright for your program. Let's talk about who coaches those guys and what's going on.
Well, let's start with the JV. They're playing really well, and Coach Steve Moore's done a great job with them. You know, it's funny. I mean, it's kind of been the talk lately because they have been putting up some big numbers. But, you know, he's playing 12 and 13 guys a night. They're playing, I don't want to say equal minutes, but they're not. Those minutes are fairly close. They know, he instilled this from day one. You're going to play hard or you're not going to play. And so when they step on the floor, it's everything they got. And defensively, they just get after people. We might be pressing a little bit a game, quarter and a half, maybe a half, and then after that, we back out of it, and they're just playing really well. And the kids have bought in, and they're shooting the ball well, and they play well together, which in JV ball a lot of times is hard to get them to do because they think they've got to impress the coaches. Mm-hmm. The head coaches are up there watching. They got to impress us.
Well, I know that has to, you know, obviously speak highly of Coach, but that has to feel good coming in because effort is something that's hard to coach. Either you have it or you don't. And if they come into you with that amount of effort, that has to make you feel good.
Oh, it makes you feel great. And part of the reason why our varsity squad's gotten so much better is because those guys are not intimidated by our varsity.
And they've closed that gap probably.
They've closed that gap, and I think that's part of why, you know, they're having the success on the JV level too, is because they're going against 9 seniors every day. 9 seniors compared to going against freshmen, sophomores, juniors.
Right.
Hey, they ain't intimidated, and that's a big deal. On the freshman side of things, BJ Fairhelm has done a really good job with our freshmen. They won Monday night against Hillwood in the first round of the Metro tournament. So they go tomorrow afternoon over to Hillsboro for the second round, and they get a W, then they're in the semifinals. So he's done a really good job with them. They've really come a long way. I like the talent that's in that group. They got a good mix, so we'll see what happens.
Good. Coach Glass?
Larry knows my JV coach, and he's done a really good job with those guys as well. Just kind of piggyback on what Coach says, you know, he instills in them to play hard, and if you don't play hard, you're not getting on the floor. You know, with us being such a young team, you know, we kind of sometimes we flip-flop back and forth. I got, you know, only one senior this year. And but these guys, they get out there on the floor, they go at it in practice. Practice is pretty competitive, and a lot of times it transcends to the games, to the JV games. Tory Lane's my freshman coach. Again, he does a really good job with those guys as well. You know, one thing with freshmen, you just never know. You know, they're up one day and down the next, but he keeps them motivated. They go hard. They still got a lot to learn, which most freshmen do, but you know, they're like a sponge, and they're trying to absorb it.
All right, let's talk about Independence real quick. You know, your current sitting, you're sitting in third place. And this game tonight could play out some big factors. You've come a long way in a short amount of time, Coach Glass. I mean, at one point in time 2 weeks ago, you had lost 5 in a row. And now you have turned around and won 4 in a row to get yourself right back in the mix. And that's a testament to the coaching job that you've done, your kids responding to what's going on. You hit a little lull, but like you said, the season's split into three parts. You've got your preseason and before Christmas period of time. You kind of come out of Christmas in that long stretch, the middle stretch, and then obviously we got tournament time. And your team looks to be poised to be playing the right kind of basketball going into the tournament.
Well, you're right. And 2 weeks ago when we did lose those 5 games in a row, you know, we kept emphasizing to the guys, there's a lot of basketball left to be played. Don't get discouraged. Don't get down. You know, we got to bring it every day in practice. If anything, we got to take it to another level. And they bought in. I know it's tough for teenagers to see that, but they bought into it as far as what we wanted them to do on the floor. And once we got that win at Summit, you know, it was a hostile crowd at their gym, and we won by 1 point. You know, it's the old phrase, the monkey's off your back now.
Right.
And they came in the next day upbeat in practice, and we were able to continue that at Brentwood. So it's tough, but I like the way we're heading right now, and you know, it's going to be a tough one, you know, tonight. But at the same time, you know, typical District 11, it always comes down to the last game.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm not sure I've seen as much parity in going into the tournament as what we have this year on the boys' side. I mean, I truly believe that any of the teams can go home on this first round. I mean, it's going to be amazing. That's why it's so important to get that first round, try to get that first place, that first round bye. But even in, I mean, I'm telling you, it's going to be a dogfight. There's somebody who's going to go home that probably shouldn't, and it's going to be interesting to watch. Now, you said something, both of you had said something that kind of goes into our next question is, Coach Glass, you broke our string of batting 1,000 on WCS game day when you went in there and stole one at Summit. Now, you guys got to experience game day on Tuesday. Did that help? Did that bring anything to the table possibly for your guys?
I think it did. I think it brought an energy. It kind of brought an expectation of, you know, how you should play. It's just a. It also got our fan base, the Rebellion, our student section, really engaged and wanting to come to a ball game, and I think it did. It sets a tone for the overall game and the game experience from the fan side of things and the expectation of performance on the players' side of things.
Well, the whole purpose, that's the purpose of the show. It's not the show. The show is, you know, the stars of the show is the student body, and obviously the program and the kids. And the whole process is trying to get people in the seats because we are self-sustaining and get money into your programs and call attention to your programs. Now tonight we're going to have a WCS game day at Indy, so you're going to get the fortunate side to come on the butt end of this.
That's right.
To see what it's like to be an opponent, and I look forward to seeing what the Indy Nation has in store for WCS game day.
It's going to be loud and rocking tonight.
So
I can assure you
it'll be interesting. So best of luck on preparation of that. I don't feel sorry for you. If you want to talk to somebody and feel sorry for them, talk to Marissa Harris and Patrick Whitlock. Ravenwood has been the butt end of 3.
Oh my goodness.
You know, to make it difficult, but that's just the way the calendar fell. So let's talk about seedings, man. What could possibly happen in the tournament? What do you envision happening in the tournament about your placement? What preparations have you made? I know tonight's game is important. You make preparations, but at some point in time, you have had to have talked about, okay, this could be a possible matchup for us and getting ready. And when do we start focusing that? Will that happen as soon as the game's over tonight? Or does that take place on Monday? Or do we come back in on Saturday? Just give us a little insight of what's going to happen as preparation for tournament starts.
Well, you know, we'll have that district meeting Saturday morning, and once we know who we're playing, we're in prep mode right then and there. You know, it gives us, I think Wednesday will be the opening night, quarterfinals, so it gives us a couple of extra days to prepare. Both teams, no matter who you play, we know each other inside and out, and there may be some tweaks here and there that may need to be made. But it's going to be a great tournament. I'm really looking forward to it. You know, last year we were unfortunately on the wrong end of it, getting upset at home by Dixon in the quarterfinals. So Our emphasis this year going in is to just remember. We want our guys to remember that feeling we had last year, so that hopefully that we're not able to repeat that again.
Coach Wilson, your group has kind of been up and down as well. We talked all year long about the inconsistency. I mean, it's nothing new, but right now I feel that Franklin has turned that corner and kind of being consistent going in. So, I mean, we look to be arguably the largest team in the district. So, I mean, what do we think?
Well, I agree. We are playing a little bit more consistent, and hopefully we can continue. But, it's kind of like what Coach Glass said, a lot of basketball left. Just keep working every day, work to get better every day, and that's what they've done. And it's starting to pay off, and we're starting to see some of the fruits of our labor. And so for us, it's just like Coach Glass said, once we figure out Saturday morning who we're playing, prep starts right then. And, agreed 100%. There might be a few tweaks here and there, but you said it earlier, this district is so close. The parity is so close that it basically is going to come down to who comes and executes and who plays harder.
Absolutely. So we're going to the meeting, and a possibility right now of us playing, if I'm not mistaken, you've got second place almost locked up, if not locked. And that would potentially put you against Dixon, possibly the way it looks. Good matchup, bad matchup, makes you nervous because I know they've been playing a lot of boxing one, triangle two. They throw everything but the kitchen sink at everybody to try to see. Because I think he has prepared his team all year long after he realized that pretty much he's going to come in seventh. Hey, we're getting ourselves ready for the tournament.
And he has. He and I talked about it. He and I have known each other for quite a while. And basically he told me, he said, I'm prepping for tournament now. And this was 3 weeks ago.
Right.
And, I told you once before after we played him, I knew what was coming. We just weren't very good at attacking it. The matchup, if that's who we match up with, and I think Coach Glass and I were talking about it earlier, one of the two of us are probably going to play Dixon or Centennial. Dixon has a lot of guards. That matchup is okay. We do have size on them, but we've got to be able to get it into our size. We did a poor job of that the last time we played them. They controlled the tempo of the game. We can't allow that to happen. On the Centennial side of things, you got one incredible guard in KJ LaSure. He's one of the best in the district, and that kid can put up points. And Coach Johnson has them playing extremely well, and they're role players, and I don't want to call them role players, but the other guys, because KJ gets all the attention, the other guys are playing really well.
Coach Glass, we have about a minute. Same with you, same question. Centennial matchup, y'all split in the regular season. That makes for interesting drama and parity, probably that you don't want, but talk about that real quick.
Well, Coach even said it comes down to the tempo, and I think what our guys have finally realized and what we've been preaching to them throughout the season is whether we would love to get up and down the floor, but it's also about the tempo of the game. And there are times when you got to slow it down and run your stuff and take advantages of the runs when you can. And district play comes down to tempo. It comes down to possessions. And, we got the saying that we want to be on the offensive end longer than we are on the defensive end.
And you are majority of the nights. And it'll be interesting with your guard play with the Murphy boys to see how this plays out. Regardless of the matchups, the district tournament's going to be fantastic.
Absolutely.
It's going to start pretty soon. I think that's at Ravenwood. And it's going to be great. Great from my seat, maybe not from y'all's seat. I wish you both the best of luck. Thank you so much. Appreciate watching your teams. It's fun to watch. Tip-off tonight at 6 o'clock at Indy. There'll be Franklin Rebels versus Independence Eagles. This has been the WCS Coaches Show. Thank you. We'll see you next time.